Hi, I'm Ayla. I'm from Canada, Toronto to be exact. And I run an organization. You can see it up there, and I'll use that later. I don't actually have a presentation because that's kind of like a PowerPoint, that's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do here. But I run an organization called Canvas Arts Action Program that I founded a few years ago. And we use arts-based programming, interactive arts-inspired programming to do workshops on gender, sexuality, consent, and body image. Ooh, welcome. Come on in, come on in. Today we're going to be talking about, and you're going to be experiencing an interactive art-based workshop and at the same time learning about it. So we got a lot to do in the next 45 minutes. 45 minutes is not long, but we're going to do it. So I'm going to start actually with a poem. And I think that it's a nice way to, and I really want to emphasize that you do not have to be an artist yourself to run arts-based workshops. I'm going to be doing a poem, but there's amazing spoken word poetry online on YouTube that can also spark discussion. But when I'm doing the poem, I want you to think about if there's a line that stands out to you or if there's a way that you might relate to the poem as well. Okay, I will stand. I have it like half memorized, so I need my phone. Fact, cat whiskers. Statement, my armpit hair. Fact, cat whiskers are extremely sensitive. Statement, my armpit hair is an irritable teenager. Fact, cat whiskers help navigate through space. Statement, my body is full of defense mechanisms, but I didn't always have the natural instinct to recognize them. I was born with caterpillar eyebrows, cocooning Frida Kahlo, emerging butterfly wings, the kind of wings with eyes on them, the kind that scared 13-year-old boys with baseball caps and a conscious understanding that they're popular. You have a mustache, he said. Fact, if you touch a butterfly's wing, its flight is forever damaged. Statement, I started waxing, and to this day, hot wax and tweezers left me with ingrown confidence. From bushy eyebrows to bushwhacking, nobody wanted a lady jungle. So if you think only cats become disoriented or fearful when their whiskers are cut off, try standing naked at 19 with the vagina of a 10-year-old. Fact, a dermatologist suggested Botox rather than stop shaving. Razors scraping off my precious skin, leaving a rash of red zebra stripes in its place. He'd rather stick a needle into me, aim it at my armpit, stabbing and killing every sweat gland, than go au naturel. Needless to say, the Botox would have worked better on my face. Statement, like a turkey vulture vomiting on its prey for protection, in the blue haze of the bar with men creeping like daddy long legs, I purge my cardigan to reveal my armpit jungle. I watch as the men take a double take, think twice about my next advance, and if they pounce on my swaying hips, they'll feel the girth of my wingspan. Fact, my armpits do not smell worse. Fact, people only stare for the first few seconds. Fact, my whiskers are there for a reason. And if you even try to pull them out, I'll gladly open my mouth wide and give you the gift of a partially dead mouse. Thank you. So one of the topics we're going to be doing and exploring is body image. It's one of the 3 topics. But I wanted to kind of ask, because as an interactive workshop, my voice should be heard just as much as yours. And I wanted to hear kind of what are some lines that stood out to you, or are there any ways that you relate to the poem?
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very much so. One of the lines that stood out, I mean, anything with like body hair and like having to be told to like trim and like the mustache thing and like the ingrown confidence was a great, great line.
Yeah.
And also you said something, the doctor that told you to you had to get Botox. Like that's just like, that angers my soul.
Thank you. Yeah.
I like the combination of words, like caterpillar eyebrows, like to take really harsh, sometimes even like war-oriented words into like body parts. I felt that really strong. It's like something we're fighting for, what some of our body parts have turned into, and what are the kind of words that you're using to kind of counter that. It was really interesting.
Awesome.
I liked how you balanced fact and statements, and that over the poem as you made your point, it became more and more fact in this list.
Cool, thanks for writing notes that.
The line about people only stare for the first few seconds resonated with me because I caught myself staring, and then I was like, oh, you're right, but it's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I noticed it, I acknowledged it. It was what it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's not. There's no any more meaning or any more significance other than that. And it was like, oh, you caught me and allowed me to feel okay about it as well at the same time. So that was effective. It was engaging.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think I wanted to share that line because there's so much fear around for women around not shaving and who's going to be looking at them and what is like the negative attention that they're going to get. And so I wanted to share my experience of like having that negative attention, but just for a second. It's not even negative. It's people are interested. It's something different, and that it's not as scary as you think. So we're going to have a lot more time to chat, and I want to talk first about a little bit what is interactive arts education. So I kind of defined it here. It's a workshop or a presentation with activities that use different art forms and discussion. So I want to emphasize that it's both interactive and arts. So sometimes, for example, I'll do a debate line, and it might not necessarily be inherently arts, but it's something that gets people moving, it's something that's engaging. Like, I could have named this workshop How to Not Make Things Boring. Like, that's kind of like my goal in terms of how do we learn to create workshops, and it could even be like a pitch. How do we make a pitch something that is engaging? So definitely you don't, as I said in the beginning, for those who just came in, you do not have to be an artist yourself. There are so many tools and so many things. I just shared a spoken word poem, and there's lots of ways to bring in spoken word without actually sharing it yourself. So I want to explain a little bit how it can be helpful. It's fun and engaging. I really believe that it can help achieve your goal, that you can use it in different ways to actually get closer to the goal and get people more talking. Recognizes different learning styles, so not everyone is auditory and wants to sit in front of people and just listen. It encourages empathy, I ignore that, because inherently in art is storytelling and is sharing. And so the more that we hear from different perspectives, the more that we hear, whether it's people in the room or whether it's some of the other art forms we share, whether it's a spoken word video or art or photography, it is about, and a lot of my work within like the LGBTQ community or within like trying to support survivors is about encouraging empathy. And the last one, which is actually my favorite, is challenges a hierarchy of knowledge. Hierarchy meaning like some knowledge is higher than others and some is lower. And I am the facilitator, but that doesn't mean I have more knowledge than you do. I have some knowledge on this topic, but we all come in with lived experience. We all come in with knowledge. And the reason that I don't want to be just speaking at you is because I'm not a teacher. I'm not, an educator in that way. It's about everybody being able to share and everybody being able to learn from each other. Because I do think it's more powerful to learn from each other. And I promise I'll only speak for another couple minutes. So this is instead of slides, we're going to be going through 3 topics. Usually in a workshop I would do 1 topic, but I wanted to demonstrate that you can use these for so many different topics, so I brought in 3 topics. The 3 topics are going to be body image, which you could definitely start with a poem like that to get people starting talking, mental health, and climate change. I wanted to try and think of things that maybe different people might be interested in, and obviously you can do this with any topic. It could be racism, there's so many topics you could do it on. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And then the third thing is, I'll just ignore that, is that I'm going to be talking about 2 ways to use arts in a workshop. The first way, and that we're going to do at first, is to explore a topic. So use it kind of in the way we just did to spark discussion, and the next activity is going to do that as well. And then the second way is to get people to create art to share stories. Sometimes this takes a bit more time, but I'm going to show you some examples of that too. Okay, cool. So the first activity, I'm going to split you into 3 groups. And you might have noticed that I have 3 different I call this the photo gallery. So I bring different photos or posters, and I bring it and I put it up on the wall. And then what I'm going to ask you, usually I give people sticky notes so they can write their initial reaction and stick it beside, but unfortunately we don't have time. But I'm going to split you into 3 groups, and you're going to look at your photo gallery. I put the topic and the goal just so you know as a potential facilitator in the future, like how I thought, which posters I thought to bring in order to achieve the goal. So for example, mental health, challenge mental health stigma is the goal of that aspect of the workshop. And so all the different posters have that goal. But what's unique about each poster is that you could have an entire workshop and like conversation about each poster. So I might not have 2 on body hair. I actually don't have any because I already kind of did a spoken word about it, but that every poster is supposed to spark a different discussion, have a different separate sub-goal within the bigger goal. So I'm going to number you to 3. So remember your numbers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1. So 1s are going to look at body image, 2s are going to look at mental health, and 3s are going to look at climate change. And so what you're going to do when I say go, you're going to get up, and I want you to take a few minutes, look, that's okay, look at the different posters on the wall within your group. And I want you, once you are ready, and once the whole group is ready, by yourself, like this is a silent activity, pretend you're in like kind of an odd like art gallery, and I want you to take the poster off the wall that you feel like relates to issues in your own community or in yourself. Okay, does that make sense? So you're going to take the poster, after you look at all of them, I want you to take the poster off the wall that relates to things in your own community or yourself, and then bring it to the circle and sit with your poster. If there are people that chose the same poster, great. That's kind of part of it. So go, yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, 1 in body image, 2 in mental health, 3 in climate change.
If I connect to a different topic, can I look at that one?
Yeah.
Or is it just like...
No, if you really connect to a different topic, you can switch. Yeah, there's no rules.
Okay.
So this part of the activity is the part where we're going to start exploring the topic and sharing a little bit. The reason that sometimes we use sticky notes, and I use it with youth especially, is because there are some people, young people especially, but some people that don't feel comfortable sharing in a group, and we want to recognize that. And so we give each person sticky notes so they can share their opinion. And then sometimes we say, choose the poster and choose your 2 favorite sticky notes, and they share that as well, just to give you a context of this activity that we created. So why don't we start with body image, since we were kind of already started talking about that. And I want to hear from different people in the group. You do not have to share, but I'd like to hear kind of why you chose that poster. Maybe what you like about it, what you don't like about it, how it relates to your community or yourself. Who in the body image would like to start? No one, would you like to start?
Love at first sight.
Can you read us what's written?
Oh yeah, please, yeah, share what's on the poster if you can.
Okay, you're going to share what's on the poster.
It's an image of a beautiful woman, and it says on top wall, you really have to be brave to wear that outfit. Go down, it says, it's a pretty dress, not a uniform. It's not a firefighter's uniform.
Awesome.
So to me, I come from a community that's represent one of the most biggest values. Our community is Midburn. It's the original community of Burning Man, and it's a 10 principle based project. That one of them is radical self-expression, and there is many ways to express ourselves and our values is one of them. So I was related to that for what it said.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I pretty quickly related to this image. I was always the tallest girl in the room, and usually not always the biggest girl in the room also. And growing up, I had people in my family who were scared for me that I'm the tallest, the biggest, even though I know I'm not, you know. And I have, I have these sentences of my environment. First of all, really like noticing you and really fearing or expecting or trying to contain women who were taller than the men around them, or were, I mean, I use it in humor, but it's also coming from, this material also comes from pain. I think one of the best ways is to deal with it through humor. But I remember the first time I was brave enough to wear heels, I was size 43 in my shoes when I was already in 7th grade. It's 11 in American terms. I could not find heels. And I wanted to wear heels, and I remember my aunt, the first time I wore heels, she's like, aren't you tall enough? Why are you wearing heels? You're gonna scare everyone off. And so being powerful and embracing your size, it doesn't always work. Sometimes I feel that I'm too much and I don't know what to do with it. But the times where I'm able to stand like this and say, fuck you, I'm tall, I'm big, I'm beautiful, I'm brown, I'm curly, I stopped straightening my hair 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All of these things together just make you just put on whatever you want and stand in that posture. And a few weeks ago, sorry for speaking too much, but it was also very powerful for me because a few weeks ago, a designer who is designing athletic wear for plus size women contacted me, and we did a photo shoot together. And I can show you some pictures afterwards. And I was like, for the first time, like only wearing
Sports bras?
Yeah, like sports bra and stuff, and we were doing all kinds of things that, show some fat and expose the skin, and I don't have a six pack and all of this, but it was so releasing and it was so beautiful, and the photographer was like, so it doesn't matter what size you are and what shape you are, if you are just working on being comfortable in your skin and whatever you are today, it's like the biggest gift you can give to yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's give some snaps for that group. And definitely a lot of this workshop is about appreciation. And I love how you talked about both the power that we have to kind of stand up and say that we are beautiful, but and at the same time recognizing that we live in a culture that does value certain bodies more than others, and how challenging that can be. So thank you. Which group within body image would like to go next, or individual?
So this is about Lorena. It took Lorena a long time to find her sexuality because she has never seen herself represented as beauty, only as tragedy. But you are so much more than the way the media portrays you, aren't you, Lorena? Your wheelchair is freedom, and it can run over anyone who reduces you to stereotypes. I just chose it because I have a venue for arts which is absolutely not accessible, and we had many programs on gender, blah blah blah, blah, but we never have done only one single thing, which yesterday we had a long conversation and it's a big challenge. So this is the challenge I accepted.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think there's so many things that we're always trying to improve on, so to recognize. Do you want to share them? You don't have to.
Well, my name is Lauren, and I go by Lorena in other cultures, so I was like, Lorena. And this first line just also really, really spoke to me at a deep level around my own development and where I am today. So I'll just say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Snaps for that group. And I guess we have one more post-it.
So I got the curly hair, and I have straight hair, but I still kind of related to it because I think that hair is, first of all, beautiful, and I think everyone wants different hair than the one they have. So I always wanted curly hair, and I think it's so beautiful. And every time I meet someone who has curly hair, she's like, "Oh, your hair, your straight hair," and I really believe that it's something that is cultural. So it's I'm Russian, so for me everybody has, straight hair, and curly hair is this enigma this beautiful hair that every day is different and changes and
You don't even know.
so I really related to it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's give some snaps.
Can I say a sentence about
Please,
like
yeah.
when I went to Rwanda after my studies in Boston to do similar things with like genocide survivors in Rwanda. That's for a different story. And there, the concept of beauty, it's like men would come to me like, sister, you are so big. You are so big. And you know, at the beginning I was like, and then you know, if there was like a Rwanda next to me that lived in a Western country, I would be like in Rwanda explaining to them, for those white people from the, you know, it's not a compliment. Wow, you are so big. So it's like, and the skinny girls were, you know, they felt like no one was looking at them, no one was hitting on them. And I was like,
Yeah, I think it's so true that whether it's different cultures or also different time periods, like the beauty norms change so much. And I appreciate you talking about also this desire that we have is always to like be someone else and not appreciate. And we're kind of taught, you know, like whether it's advertising telling us like you're ugly, so buy this, you know, like we're always being told that we're not good enough for a purpose. And I want to just indicate to you as potential facilitators that I worked hard to also bring in like different parts of our identity, whether it's race, whether it's ability, whether, you know, to make sure that like, you know, if I did a whole workshop on body image, to make sure that we are talking about all those different aspects. Okay, great. Thank you, body image. Let's go on to mental health. Who wants to share kind of why they chose their poster?
So there's this super suffering guy in a wheelchair, and this girl is telling him, "Why don't you just try harder?" And it resonated with me in the sense of like not specifically mental health, but I feel we're so alienated from our body, and we are taught not to trust our body. And I'm a person that I really trust my body, and if I feel bad, I know that something is wrong. I usually even know where it is, but then people don't trust me, especially doctors. And it's really upsetting.
Thank you for sharing that. I think to not have that support from the medical system, which is seen as so highly, rather than like, you know, you are yourself, you have the knowledge best in your own body, I think that must be really hard. So.
It's not only doctors, it's also, I'm pregnant. And
Congratulations.
Well, I might cry a little bit. I'm not going to apologize for that. Because I feel like I so missed this level of conversation and communication in the last 3 days. So just thank you. Anyway, so I'm pregnant, and a few weeks ago I felt really bad, and my partner told me like, that's natural, you're pregnant, but like it's my 3rd pregnancy, and I know my body, and I know it's not connected to the pregnancy, and this feeling of like not being trusted, that I know something is wrong, and I was right, but like this thing that I know, and people around me just don't trust the knowledge because like they have more or they know more or yes.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And I do want to say that, you know, I mean, with any topic, but like mental health, it's not easy to talk about. And, you know, I think when creating kind of these interactive workshops, you know, I think we just kind of naturally created it, but, you know, working with people to create that safe space is just so important. and I also just naturally get emotional. Just happened to me all the time. So who else wants to share in the mental health groups?
Sure. So this poster is 3 people standing separately or next to each other, but all thinking the same thing. Everybody else seems so happy and normal. I wish I wasn't the only person with mental health issues. And this to me is like society, and our own minds being our own worst enemy. And everyone being so stuck in their own minds and feeling so alone and not communicating or sharing and like allowing themselves to feel stuck in this aloneness that they don't even realize that there's people right next to them who are feeling the same things. So this to me is also like, I think our minds are so powerful and we can have so much control of our minds. And it starts with sharing our thoughts and using our voice to do so, and then we feel like we belong, like everyone else.
Thank you
So
for sharing that.
it's very important.
Did you want to add anything?
I chose it because I feel like it's like you said, it's society. Like it's especially like I felt this at where we are right now at ROI, that the whole like conference thing and the brain day thing like makes you feel like you have an image of yourself, like you have your shit together, you're an expert in what you do, and it's like mini job interviews like 30 times a day, and like, yeah, I know what I do, and take my business card and blah, blah, blah. And I say this, and I don't really believe what I'm saying about myself, and I'm wondering whether the person in front of me has the same thing. So I thought it was helpful to read this right now. Like, we're almost done, and like we have 24 hours left, and how do we use those 24 hours in our interactions with the people around us?
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate you putting that in that perspective. And I think it's those things that we don't acknowledge, whether it's that we don't openly speak about depression or bipolar disorder, and at the same time don't say that like what we do is hard and like we're all a little bit lost. And I definitely can relate to that because I felt that too. So I really appreciate both of you sharing. Let's give some snaps. And I also want to say if anyone does want to like have a comment, we don't have that much time, but I do. Like, please,
I'll talk about what I chose. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of close. Mine says mental disorders are not adjectives, and there are some quotes like you look so anorexic, quit being psycho, and I swear I'm like retarded, and all kind of that things. And I chose it because I think it's really interesting. There's a duality in society that on one hand, mental disorders or problems are much more, there's much more awareness. And many people know what's PTSD and what's being bipolar and all those disorders. But on the other hand, it's very flat. I mean, people use it randomly as adjectives and they still aren't able to perceive the complexity and the depth of it. So it's like society is moving forward, but it's still staying in the same place at the same time. That's it. So that's what I found it interesting.
Totally. And I appreciate you putting it in that like bigger lens of society and the way that like it is we are taught from a young age not to talk about it, and yet we use it in this way, and it both comes in like smaller interactions, but also in the way that you put it in that like society. So thank you. This is awesome, by the way. So excited about it. So I think we have one more.
Yes. So this one, where is written, it's okay to have scars, it means you're healing. So it's quite an obvious message, I feel, about scars are on strengths, if you like it. Like it can be hidden or visible, but it's what we've been through, it's what makes us who we are and what we do. And we should not be ashamed of it, but really proud of it. And about healing, it's really the way we've been and where we are now.
Awesome, thank you. I like to put, I'm someone who, I have quite a few poems about it. I experience both depression and anxiety, and I'm on some great antidepressants. And I think it's so important to think about it in that way of that it can be a strength. And I think my anxiety allows me to empathize more with people. And I think there's so many positive things that come out of experiences of mental health. And it's even harder, like, yes, mine is invisible, but to have evidence on your body, I can only imagine, can be so hard. And I appreciate what you said, or I'm getting emotional. But so snaps, thank you. Awesome. So we're moving from bodies to mind to earth. So let's go to the climate change group. Who wants to share first?
I can share. I showed this picture because of this part, Evan and Beta. And so I prefer to make this. I see in this picture not only ecological topics, but also values about communication between people, communication with inside your community and in all people that runs you. So for me, it is very important part of work. It's important part of my daily life. That's why I choose this picture.
I love that. Thank you. And I love the idea of like pulling it like towards people and like the way that we interact with each other and everything like that. I'm also very drawn to that with the ego and the eco, and the way that even the shapes are really just like a strong message. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Yeah.
I see this picture as a symbol that every hour step has every hour choice has a reason.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of show it? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's important always to make the right choice. It's important in your life and important for the earth. Because in my country, I see a lot. I have I like to go outside in the morning to have a walk in the forest, and I see a lot of things like that. Because even now, when people like to go for the barbecue, and I always think about it, because usually people think like, okay, I will do it. What will change? I will change, but it's not right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you like connecting also to like where you're from and the things that you've seen. And I think as individuals, you know, it's just one water bottle in that photo. You can imagine how many individuals there are, how many water bottles we have. And yeah, thank you. I think we have one more. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll do it time.
It's totally fine.
So I chose. So I wasn't the body in this group, but then someone made me change. So no, I'm just kidding. So I chose this poster, which talks about the space required to transport 60 people, and it kind of presents kind of very visually kind of what the different solutions look like, and you can kind of see how efficient or inefficient different methods of organizing people within a space are: bicycle, bus, and car. And I chose it, I think, because I think questions of space and how we organize space are very interesting, and I think that they're also they're interesting on so many other kind of deeper levels than just, you know, how we occupy a physical space, but there's so many implicit like meanings and power dynamics in any kind of space and how we organize space. And I do a lot of work in Jerusalem between Jews and Arabs and bringing people together and having people cross divides and cross into one space, and how one space can be organized in one way to kind of be welcoming for one type of community and not another type of community. And I think that it's very, very powerful, and I think that often it's overlooked. People think it's a background, and so it's not important, but often the background and the structure will, I think, also imbue, like, and impact the content of everything, of how we interact with each other and how we interact with the space. So that's, I think, kind of one reason that this resonated with me, and the other is that I'm very visual, and as well, and I often find kind of visualizing things and arranging them in different perspectives can help me see things that I otherwise wouldn't see. So I'm always trying to do that in my work, and suddenly, I mean, we all know that it's more efficient, in terms of transportation, and there was space needed, to use a bus or bicycle, but we don't really imagine it until we see like a poster like this, and then it all kind of really hits home, and I think that's a really effective method of communicating as well.
Awesome, thank you. I've actually never thought of it that way in terms of space, so I really appreciate you bringing that in. Thank you. Awesome. So snaps for everyone. I'm going to show you just some examples of this second, because obviously we only have 45 minutes, we can't create an amazing art piece. Oh no, I think, okay. So, is it gonna turn back on? Does anyone? While that happens, is it working? Okay, cool. So while that happens, I'm going to be handing out, maybe you can just take one and pass it on. I created this little infograph about how to create an art space workshop. And I also just want, I want to actually, before I even continue, I really would appreciate, let's give everyone snaps for that, because I just love how open and honest you are, and that is exactly kind of the goal of these kind of workshops. And I want to kind of focus on this infograph in terms of, in this, you've seen spoken word to explore a topic, you've seen kind of different ways visual art can, but there is also drama. You can, if anyone was in Bar's workshop, she used a bit of that. And drama is cool because it can also use to actually practice real life scenarios. I'm also a forum theater facilitator, which is like theater of the oppressed, and you use that a lot in like, here's an issue, let's actually try out different ways of a skit. And you don't have to, a lot of people think, oh, drama, we're gonna create a play or whatever, but there's a lot, you don't have to be an actor. It's just, tap someone in, oh, I have another idea, I think it could go this way, or let's try it again, let's bring someone else who else has different ideas of how you might support this person. Or so that's different ways that drama can be used. I'm going to show you a little bit of the second one. So this is from my website. Let's see, I'm a Mac user, so no? Okay. So Speak Out is a program for LGBTQ, is for the general population of youth, but it's around LGBTQ youth support. So they were asked to, sorry, can you see? Yeah. They were asked to create posters that might have messages of support or something they wish people would know. So you can see these are all youth from just west of Toronto in a place called Mississauga. And it was kind of part of the second part of the workshop. And a lot of them really didn't know anything, and you can see we drew kind of in the background of that one, like the diamond of different identities, difference between sex and gender identity. So I am a very visual learner as well, as you kind of put, and I find that the more that we're able, this is a way for them to express themselves, like something powerful like this. And then we end up sharing them on social media. They get put up in the school, so even those who weren't in the workshop can then get access to it. So I'm going to kind of go a little quicker through these. So these are all different examples. And then just below, I'm going to go quicker. I know there's so many and they're so nice, but thank you. Thank you. So another example of workshops is through the lens, and this was a 2.5-hour workshop. So we did the first 2 hours on using art to explore the topic, and then the last half hour to create. Through the Lens is a program that's a little different. It's over 4 to 6 weeks, and we teach kind of visual storytelling, and it's more about people to also learn skills. Because here, art is used as the goal is the topic, whereas this, it's both the topic and the art form. So again, these are trans and queer youth that we worked with, all between the ages of 11 and 15. So this is like different ideas, yeah, I know, different ideas of things that they wanted to share. These are all from our workshops. This is a person hiding in a bathroom. They have a story connected with it. So they all got, and they all took photos of each other. You can see like the titles of their photos. They're pretty, and these are only like 14-year-olds. It's really intense. So anyway, this one I love too. It's called Binaries Are for Computers. So I had a feeling that 45 minutes was gonna go back out like that. But I really, does anyone have any questions? I kind of tried to do a step-by-step guide, and please come up to me in the next 24 hours to talk to me about it, because I feel bad that, you know, I wanted to kind of show you what it's like, and I was hoping maybe we could create something, but it's only 45 minutes. But does anyone have any questions about the infograph or any questions about interactive arts-based education? People are feeling good? If you do want more ideas of activities, if this is something you do with your own organizations, I'm happy to share. And another thing I want to share is that I do is the interactive aspect is really about, I try in my workshops to go from sitting to standing to moving to sitting to standing to really like also acknowledge that like sitting for an hour is just too much. So really recognizing the different needs that people have and using art as a way to kind of hopefully engage and make topics more exciting. So thank you.